on the part of some people who call themselves, I use the word who call themselves parents, laziness on their part. And thirdly, there is this idea of the growing new normal, where people advocate that children should be treated with, like adults, they should be treated with kids and gloves and all that, so that you not hurt them. And so after all, they are human beings. But let me start with this infiltration of Western culture into our traditional culture. Now, you see, the white men asked us at the time to marry a fellow man, a woman marry a fellow woman. Many of us did not dispute it. Some African countries are already doing that. They also asked us to wear the suit, the sleeve, the waistcoat, the tie, and all that, despite our hot weather. Many of us did not also dispute that fact. And we are doing it. But very recently, they are also asking us to treat a child as an adult. And so many parents have started, many fathers and mothers have started treating their child, their children, as adults. That's the problem. They want to train them in the Western way. They want their children to see themselves as adults. They are rushing them through that childhood. They don't want them to enjoy that childhood. They don't want them to see themselves as children. That state of innocence is no longer there. A child that just here, you call that child that you want to reason with the child like an adult. What's his reasoning capacity in the first place? My brother, what is the rationale behind you sitting a child down to say, let's discuss? You are just 4 now. And who told you that a 4 years old is thinking like an adult already? It's not. I know many will say this is a computer age and jet. Leave that computer age and jet. Children are children. And most of how were we brought up? We were told that if you misbehave, I will flog you. I have so many parents in my area. My father was not just my father. Yes, he was my biological father, but I have so many fathers. Before my father even come back from his workplace, someone else have disciplined you if you misbehave and all that. Do we still have such in our society? No. You see, everybody wants to say my family.
So you're saying that in those days there was a communal mindset?
A communal mindset. All parents were parents, and all children were children to all parents. Now, these days, you see families saying, you don't touch my child, I know how to discipline my child, you leave this child for me to discipline and all that. So that's why we're getting children that are going haywire. Some of them are even going gaga. You know, some of the hairstyle that a 10-year, 11-year-old will put on, you begin to wonder, is this one coming from a home? You see some young girls out there, 11, 10, some of the things they will wear, like, does this one even have fathers and mothers at home? So the issue now is we are drinking too much from this cup of Western wine. I think we should come back home. We should come back to this African tradition. We are Africans. And in Africa, there is discipline intrinsically buried in our totemic mindset. It is on our subconscious. That discipline should be resurrected. That parents should see themselves as not just parents, but as role models, as disciplinarians. Correct these children when need be. Don't reason with a child. It gets to a certain stage, you reason with him, not at this stage. It is some of those things that you imprint on him when he was still a child that will model him into a very good adult. A good child definitely will become a good adult.
Absolutely.
Now, when you lead them, you think they can think of themselves. What you fail to tell them, their friends out there will tell them. And that is what we should avoid. So that idea of Western culture, I think we should come back home. Beside that, sir, this idea of laziness on the part of parents. They think now that you already have a child. So if you can provide for this child, you are performing the work of a parent already. The provision we are talking about here is not just finance. Many of them thought it's just finance. He's attending a very good school, I can provide. If he wants to buy anything, I can give him more. No. Emotionally, psychologically, this child needs you. Morally, you should be there for him. Who are his friends? Do you even know his friends? What are his routine? How does this child carry out his daily activity? You should be your child's best friend. You should have a roundtable talk most times with him. You should be able to tell him, if you try that, I will flog a lot of you and you will not try it. Don't let him see himself like an adult already. You hardly even see children these days bathing outside. And someone said it's civilization. I think they know too much.
Okay.
Their parents make them know too much.
So why they've gone past the phase of innocence.
You see that state of innocence? It has been killed. Every child now, the parents have been able to inculcate in them that they are no longer children, but they are now what? Adults. And there is no way a child can behave like an adult. He will be an adult in a wrong form. So let these children grow. Correct them. Discipline them. Be a disciplinarian. You don't rub men with a child of 5.
Okay. Now, you've actually said a lot. Now, talking about the infiltration of Western culture. Just recently, I saw a video on Facebook of this American comedian and veteran comedian, Steve Harvey, of, he was actually interviewing a kid, a 5-6-year-old girl. So he was asking her why she liked her brother, why she loved her brother. And she was saying, well, she loves her brother because, her big brother, of course, because he's always there to protect her and to comfort her when, her parents whooped her. And then, of course, the crowd, reacted in laughter and all of that. Now, I went through the comments as usual, and I saw a lot of persons asking questions, and a lot of people, complaining that it was totally out of place for the parents to, whoop her or to discipline her. And, of course, it became a debate as usual. Now, that pretty much reminds me of something. The fact that this is also becoming a major issue in this part of the world, whether or not to discipline a child. Because some people see the use of corporal punishment as a sign of hatred for the child. That how can you, use corporal punishment for a child that you love? So they see it as, you doing too much. They believe you shouldn't use corporal punishment on your child, that there are other ways. Just like you said, some of them believe you can reason with your child. But how do you reason with a child whose mind is not even matured enough to, look at things from that perspective? I think what we have is actually a problem, because people want to mistake smartness, intellectual exposure to maturity.
Yeah.
And I think that's a problem. I would like you to speak in that regard.
You see, words get their meaning from their context.
Okay.
What they call maltreatment in a particular context, in another context might be called discipline.
Discipline.
So when that people say you are hitting that child too hard, you're beating this child and all that. But I think in the right context, when it comes to my child or any other child, or any other child around me, it should use that right word, discipline. We were once children, sir. They did not kill us.
Of course not.
We are what we are today because of how our parents decided to straighten our life. At least our parents are not beasts. They know what they are doing. You don't expect a mother who gave birth to a child to kill that child with her own ends, except she's maniacally derailed and all that.
Yeah.
When children are being disciplined with love, you can discipline a child with love. There is no need you bringing in ideas of you are abusing the child rights and all that. He is a child, for God's sake. The reason why you are saying I am abusing his right because you want to protect that child. The reason why I even discipline that child is to protect the child also. Now, this is what the government are fighting against, is that you should not abuse, assault a child. Discipline will get to an extent, becomes an assault.
So that's where we need to draw the line now. At what point does discipline become an assault?
When you begin to inflict serious pains,
bodily harm
on this child, it is not an assault.
Okay.
When you are not correcting the child with love, it becomes an assault. When you are doing it with hatred, it becomes an assault. When you forget the fact that this person is still a child, it becomes an assault. But when you are doing it in the circumstances of these things I'm saying, like he's a child, I want to correct him with love, he's my child, and all that, that is discipline. And we should not rule out discipline because some persons are misusing it. I know I am not in line with so many parents or guardians who have decided to inflate pains on children because you want them to listen. No, that is beyond discipline. Okay. That is now an assault. That is now an hatred. That is now a corporal punishment. And if I ask my child to kneel down there, for example, or get a cane and give my child 2 or 3 strokes of the cane for doing something wrong, next time he will not try it. But if you now give a punishment that is more than that child to that child, then it becomes an assault.
An assault, okay.
You're asking a child, for example, you get pepper, rub on the child's body, or give the person some scars, marks, and all that. No, that is wicked and that is evil. But you're asking the child to kneel down there, or get a cane, flog this child 5 times or more, as the case may be, and after all this, call the child, next time, don't try it. I am your father, I love you, and that's why I'm doing this. I hope you will not try it next time. Such a child will not try it. But you're not letting the child know the reason why you have flogged him or disciplined him and all that. It is hatred.
Hatred.
So we should draw the line between discipline and hatred. So I am not advocating for that idea of that battering, that corporal punishment.
Yeah.
I am saying we should not rule out the fact that these children are still children. And children have a mindset that is as clean as a tabula rasa. So we have to imprint something that they will take up into becoming a very good adult.
I guess that's why the Holy Book says that you should train up your child in the way he should go, that when he is old, he will not depart from it. All right, guys, it's still the Guys Hangout Show on Independent Television. Just in case you're just joining us, we're talking about the decline in discipline, parental discipline. What has gone wrong? What exactly is the problem? Why is it that, kids are no longer as disciplined as before? Why is it that kids nowadays can just do whatever they want without, their parents or a parental figure, putting them in check? Now, Abu, just a moment ago, you were talking about the difference between correcting in love and correcting, in hatred, right?
Yeah.
Now, it's no longer uncommon to see children just walking past an adult without greeting. And that was actually one of the things that we were taught as, children. And that was exactly one of those values that we grew up with, which is why we cannot see someone who's older than us now
and not greet.
Don't you think that's also a function of this lack of discipline?
The dysfunctionality of the society, that's one of the factor, one of the things we got from the dysfunctionality in the society. Why did I say so? I just told you not quite long that all parents were parents to all children. An elder can call you back and say, so you don't know how to greet. Where are you from? You say, I'm sorry, sir. Good morning, sir. Or in my dialect, you greet according to your family lineage, and you must do that. That's how we grew up. But these days, many parents have restricted themselves from doing that. Before someone else will come somewhere and say, don't talk to my child, it's my child, I know how to train my child and all that. So that communal nature is no longer there. And you can see, that is just a microcosm of the larger one. You can see, apart from this idea of greeting, you could see children, they hardly even get up from the seat for an elder to sit, if that's the only seat.
That's another dimension to it.
Now, you see some of them, they are very disrespectful. They have begun to euphemize what we call disrespect. You see some of them will say savage reply. What you might want to call obscenity,
I think that's
rudeness,
one of the effects of
stupidity, social media.
Yeah.
You see some of them will say, there's a new one now, we listen, we don't judge.
That's not even good.
They are indirectly promoting children to go haywire.
Go wild.
They are promoting this idea of you can always do whatever you want to do. And they are promoting immorality.
And the question we should even be asking is, what do we call judge in this context? Judging is discipline. Discipline we're talking about.
It is a discipline they want to eradicate.
When a child does something wrong, you're supposed to discipline that child.
So you say,
but to children of this generation, you
listen, you don't judge. I mean, you say, you listen, you don't judge. Besides that, sir, you see, when these children were growing up, they were given this orientation that I am your father, I am your mother, I am the only person, I should be the only person that has the moral right to discipline you. And that's bad. Let these children know that all parents in this vicinity are your parents.
Even adults.
Even adults.
Not necessarily
they have
parents.
the right to discipline you in my absence. When I was growing up, something happened. I went home to tell my father that a teacher has flogged me in school. He said, okay, the next morning we'll go. He followed me to school. And when we got there, he took the cane himself and flogged me again right in front of the teacher. These were adults in unity. Adults having a meeting over me that I don't even know about. Their primary aim then was, this child must not go wayward. Now that I am an adult, I used to think like, okay, could it be the reason why my dad have to flog me again? That sends a message. The message was, you are safe in his hands and don't misbehave because I'm your father. I'll flog you again. But these days, we've seen parents that will follow their children to school and start constituting nuisance. Some of them will not even ask. You'll be telling your child right from the home that your teacher will die today. You are giving that child an impression that he or she can disrespect
an elder
and get away with it. I'm your mother, I will always fight for you. You are creating a small problem that will blossom into a bigger one in society tomorrow. A child you couldn't discipline today, will end up in prison. And they'll start crying. Discipline your child. Teach these children societal value. The values, one of the values I will hold tenaciously to in Africa is respect. They should be respectful. Leave this idea of we are in a civilized world, this is a computer age. And in America, you don't touch a child like that, they'll call the police on, trust Nigeria police. Okay. They'll be very quick to tell you, no, it's not like that. You must respect your parents and all that. So that is one of the factors. Okay. Though there are other factors. The other factors that we have this single motherhood and fatherhood is also a contributing factor.
Broken homes.
A broken home. Now, if a child is coming from a broken home, that parental care, love will not be there. Of course, it's not easy for one person to train up a child.
Okay.
You need a father figure, you need a mother figure, and this person is not there. Definitely it will affect the child's psychology, and that will metamorphose into an adult that will be antisocial, or that will be maladjusted in society.
All right.
So that is another angle.
Okay, once again, it's the Guys Hangout Show, and tonight we're taking a look at the issue of the lack of parental discipline. What has gone wrong? What is the difference between the way it used to be and the way it is now? Now, Abu, in closing, I just wanted to give a word of advice to parents out there who are not living up to expectation in terms of disciplining their child. Those who think, letting their child get away with everything they do is a sign of love. What's your advice for them? In less than,
They shouldn't be just a father or a mother.
Okay.
They should be parents. And parenting is not an easy job.
Okay.
If you are capable of giving birth to a child, you should be able to take good care of that child. Don't be scared. Don't be scared to discipline your child.
Don't be scared to discipline your child. I guess that's the parting word for tonight. I want to say a big thank you to you, Abu, for taking out time.
Thank you, my brother.
Time to be with us on the show today. And of course, to every one of you out there who have created time to be with us. I hope you've taken something away from tonight's discourse. Of course, the most important thing to take away from this is parenting is serious business. All right? So the moment you decide to become a parent, just have it in mind that the future of that child lies in your hands. If that child is going to grow up to become a responsible person, it's totally up to you. And of course, it's up to the adults that child is surrounded by. So another thing that Abu said in the course of his analysis is that parenting doesn't just end with you as a parent. You should also give the adults around your child the responsibility of raising your child, just like it was in the olden days. Don't have this mindset that you are the only one who has the responsibility of taking care of that child. My name is Harry Igboje, and until I come your way again, same time, same station next week, do ensure you do the right thing and stay out of trouble. Do have yourself a lovely night rest.
The Ekoko masquerades from Ute village, whose cult is connected with Obaewari and his mother, Elere, appear on this occasion to bless the Oba. Ekoko is a ritual masquerade that dances to please the guests and the Oba.
ITV, certainly the best.
Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year from Independent Television and Radio.
Hello, welcome to Viewpoint on ITV. I am Caroline Okonji. According to the new law on kidnapping passed by the Edo State House of Assembly and also signed by the Governor of Edo State, Governor Monday Okpeolo, on any house found being used for kidnapping activities will be demolished. For that reason, we're going to be going out on the street to sample people's opinion, hear what they have to say about the new law. It's a Viewpoint on ITV.
First, it's a good law. Let's put it there. It's a very good law. The law goes very far beyond, apart from kidnapping, even sponsors of kidnapping, sponsors of courtesan activities, they've all been captured by this law, such that persons can now fall the persons that can fall prey are wider than what it used to be. But again, that law on its own will put more jeopardy or put more persons in jeopardy as it is right now, because you can't really tell what your tenant is doing in your house. That's why in these days of building houses and leaving it to tenants, where you don't have landlord living there, it's not every time the landlord lives there. I have houses that I manage today that I only visit maybe twice a year. The owners are outside this country, they are abroad. I put tenants there. I have given them the place. They are within their rights by law to enjoy peaceful possession by law. So I cannot even go there and just say I want to open their door. And then I suspect anything, I cannot. So you see, it's a law that we need to also look at the implementation. I would have thought that bringing in this law, we should also amend our tenancy laws. We should amend our housing laws such that if you suspect, not even the landlord alone, if anybody in the street suspect that the persons living in that house, they are carrying out activities that fall under this law, those people can have proper recourse, people they can recourse to, and report to, and remove such persons from there. Be security, because he was afraid of his life and that of his children. So he called landlord, please, this boy, I saw him, they were taking firearms into his room. So the landlord came to me. He wants this boy out by all means. But I cannot force him out. I have to go through the legal procedure, serve him notice, the required notice, and notice sometimes can be long. In this case, it needed 6 months because it's a 1-year tenant that had no tenancy agreement. So what happens if within that period of my notice, he is caught in kidnapping or in courtesy? So there are so many things that we need to put in if this law must work, because it's a good law. But like I said, we need to also bring in persons who have operated under this environment before and to tell us what they feel can be done to better operate that law. Firstly, if you go to the police, they don't have records, so remove police from the issue. They don't have records. But let us even look at it from another perspective. How do you profile these people? You profile them today, they bring happens tomorrow. I have a tenant I've been trying to eject for more than 6 months, no more than a year. Each time we file, before the matter gets to the stage of judgment, they change one of the members of the court. We have to start de novo. We started de novo in the matter. My matter has been struck out twice. Why this matter was going on? So it's been more than a year I've been trying to eject a tenant. What happened is that the person who came here to take let of that property is a man with a wife. They look responsible. He gave me his business card and everything. He said, oh, this is a good person to give a house to. But when I started visiting the house, I have never seen that much. He has never lived there for one day. He took let of that place, placed his mother there, his siblings who are all rejected from different families, maybe the ones who married, the marriage didn't work out, the ones who were working somewhere and they stole and they were driven, just loaded them in that place like a refugee camp. That's what they are doing in that house. There's no person, the person I gave the property to is not there. And I cannot just jump into the house and force them out. I must go through the proper procedure. See, that is why I say again, we need to amend our tenancy laws. It's long overdue. The tenancy law we are using here, we inherited them from the white people, the British people. And these people we inherited these things from, we copied from, let me not use the inherit, we copied from. These people, they have amended their own self such that today, if you want to eject a tenant from a house, you don't longer need to go to court, because this is our system of you have to go to court, you have to give notice and go to court. It's too long. We can have a simpler system that says, oh, before you issue notice, come and take the notice from court, so that we know that you actually issued it. Go to court, pay for the notice in court, let the court bailiff go and serve it. Once the period expires, if it's 1 month, if it's 2 months, if it's 3 months, as the law provides for, once the period expires, the court bailiff will go and eject the person without having to come through trial system anymore.
First and foremost, I must commend the House for the law they passed. Also for the governor to assent to it. Kidnapping is rampant because there are connivance. There can be no kidnapping where there is no place to keep the victims. If a house is used as an object to aid the offense and the kidnapper is sentenced to death, why should the house exist? It's like saying an armed robber is convicted for robbery, but the gun he used can be given back to the owner. They are what they call instrument used for the commission of the crime. They should go. As long as there is no place to keep kidnapped victims, people will not indulge in it. Most of these landlords know what they are doing. You see a man have no job, want to pay you a house of 500, is prepared to pay you 2 million. You don't find a source of job. Where did you work? You have no job, you have no wife, you have no child. You are only interested in the money. I think it's a welcome development. So people will now be cautious before they give out houses to people. I saw the one they did in Ile, saw the one they did in Onwa and in Rumi, and on the television. In the television, I think this is a welcome development. It's like those days under the custom law. Any instrument a motor used to drive goods that are not licensed, forfeited to the federal government. I don't see anything wrong with it. Let them demolish them so that people will be cautious. At least, this is not kidnapping is a menace in the society. If you can go to the camps and destroy the camps where the Fulani are staying in the bush, why not destroy the one they are using in the town? I think the landlord should ask the property tenants to go and depose to affidavit and give a copy to the police if there is any reason to protect the landlord. What job do you do? What's your age? Where do you work? Perhaps, I know if a lawyer wanted to get an office in Benin, a landlord said, I want a senior lawyer to certify that you are of good character. I have to. Personally, because to undertake that is of a good character before the landlord gave him the house. And that is the essence of it all. The idea of overnight riches, kidnapping, it's not the best of it all. I think people, before you give a house, tell the people, go and depose to affidavit for the job you do, give a copy to the DP of your area so that I can be protected. In the absence of that, you are not accomplished.
The recent law that have been passed by those state House of Assembly that tend to checkmate and address the activities of criminals in the states, ranging from kidnappers, armed robbers, cultists, etc. It's a very sensitive and at the same time a complex issue that we are dealing with. Again, everything that have advantage has disadvantages. This law perhaps were made in good faith. There is one thing to make law, there is another thing to implement these laws. I want to advise that these laws should be implemented with human face. Like I said, if any property, as is stated in the law, is used to carry out crime, it should be well investigated before actions of demolition can be carried out. Because it is possible that a criminal, being a kidnapper, could be residing in a house of persons who is not in any way involved in the said crime. For instance, if I'm a landlord, I rent an apartment to a tenant, I don't know what that tenant do. Perhaps the tenant is a civil servant. We have seen a uniformed person, security personnel like the police or army personnel involving in kidnapping and armed robbing. If as a landlord you now rent an apartment to such person, should you have anything to worry about? No. But if unfortunately the person now indulge in criminality, should that mean my house should be destroyed? It's a very big issue, and we are very concerned about this aspect because it could happen to anybody. So as such, we are advising that the government should enforce this law with human face, not to enforce it with any intention to victimize anybody. And before there should be any form of demolition of any house, there are procedural processes of investigating crime. There are aspects that the judiciary, the court will have to come in to find a person guilty. You can't just say Comrade Curtis Ogbebo is alleged of kidnapping and you just carry out such an exercise to carry out a dozer to go and put down my house when the process is provided for in the law has not been followed. The process of investigating me, if I'm directly involved in the crime, try me in a court, giving me an opportunity to defend myself in court. It is only when I am found guilty that such action can be carried out on me. When that is not done, I don't think such actions is just enough. It negates the procedures, the procedural norm provided for in the law for prosecuting crime. So in all, while the government is making efforts to checkmate, to reduce the crime or deal with crime, the government should also consider the innocent persons that could be victimized in the process. So we advise that the government follow due process in fighting criminality in the state and other part of the country. Nigeria as a country does not have a database that contains the information of the citizens. So from where and how are they going to document or profile tenants? If I'm being invited by a landlord or by security personnel, is it not what I tell them that they will document? If they ask me where I work, I tell them I work XYZ, I run a personal business. What mechanism, technology does the government have to do verification? So to me, that could be a mere eye service, an exercise in futility, because the government over time have not deemed it necessary to collate the database of every Nigeria like it is in other civilized and sane society. So it's going to be, like I said, it's a very sensitive and complex issue. So the government have to take step by step to address this issue so that we don't exacerbate and the process victimize innocent persons.
The issue of kidnappers being dealt with by a way of maybe demolishing their houses when they are found guilty is a good one. But then I think the law enforcement need to do a thorough due diligence to ensure that the owner of this house, the person who owns this house, they have to investigate to ensure that they have done their investigations, and if perhaps they have not done their investigation, then the law can have its course. But if they find out that these persons have in any way tried to do their investigation before accepting these persons into their compound, they should find a way to help the situation, because we cannot tell somebody who have taken his time, maybe his hard-earned money, maybe even his last money to build a house, and then you demolish the house because the person gave it to a wrong person. And not the fault, it's not the fault of the owner of the house. So I would advise and I would suggest that yes, it's a good idea, but let's ensure that investigations are done properly, very properly, before anything of such is carried out. Because yes, some landlords will be aware, perhaps because they've had agreement or understanding with these kidnappers, and they will not overlook it because of the money that they are getting. So if you find them guilty, I agree that their houses should be demolished totally.
I want to first and foremost commend the State House of Assembly for taking the bull by the horn, because kidnapping has assumed a very worrisome dimension. At the onset, it was like kidnapping expatriates, and then they proceeded to a large-scale kidnapping citizens. Now it is like kidnapping the poor, even the poor of the poorest. And that, of course, is a call to a serious action from the side of the government. But be that as it may, we should not forget that there are factors that necessitate this action behind the persons who are going into that venture of kidnapping, because it is now becoming a business to some persons, forgetting that they should be aware that kidnapping is a crime and every crime must be punished. And so that is why I said I want to give kudos to the House of Assembly for being able to come up with this laudable idea of passing a death sentence. I think that is a bit okay. But looking at the aspect of demolishing the houses where these kidnappers used to keep their victim, I want to say that first and foremost, some of these kidnappers may not keep their victim in a house where they themselves have rented. They can use some abandoned building, they can use some dilapidating houses, and at most time, the owner may not even be aware that their houses are being used. So I think the government should look at that portion critically, because when I saw, I think through the social media, the demolition of a house in Uromi, where the kidnapper were using as a hideout, or where they were keeping their victims, I felt, well, it may be good, but if the owner does not authorize the kidnapper using his own place for such, I think that area should be looked into by the government, especially with this our present day, investigating aspect. They want to carry out quick prosecution, and sometimes the investigation may be so shoddy that they cannot even go to the extent of getting the view of the owner of the house if he actually was aware that such person is using the house for kidnapping purposes. Again, I think it will put every landlord on their toes, so that in case you are bringing somebody into your house, you should be able to look at his character and what he's doing for a living. And like some person said, it should be profiled, involving the police to actually look at this person, how he makes his money, what business he's doing, before you can actually give out your house to persons for use or for rent. Especially a house where you don't live as a landlord or a landlady. You should be able not just give it to agent and then allow the agent to do some fast job because they need their own agency fee, and put people of questionable character. I want to say here and now that the government should do more than what they have done now by looking at the factors that necessitate kidnapping.
We are happy first that we have a government that is putting things in place to help check insecurity, because the issue of kidnapping had gone beyond the ordinary. So every responsible government will want to put everything in place, in short, to control it. And with the new law, more especially the one that is a little bit causing for worry for some, especially landlords who give out houses, to people. Some may tell you I'm a dry cleaner, and at the end of the day, he or she does something else. And some are informant to kidnapper. Some are not even physical at the point of kidnapping, but they are the main masterminder. It's quite unfortunate that it does happen like that. But the also thing is that somebody must also pay a price. And that is going to put everyone on his toe, that you must now know the people you give house to. And in some cases, I think the law would have gone further to investigating the property of the parents of those people. If the person is a tenant somewhere And you can really find out this is his father's house, this is his mother's house. If he does not have his own house, maybe the demolition should go towards those properties instead of the one that sometimes the landlord gives out his house through an agent, through a lawyer, and the landlord lives in Lagos, lives in Abuja. Or you just do, because we now have a new tenancy system where you consult an agent that I want to lease my house, and you are far away. You are abroad, you build a house here, a lawyer helps you to give house to people. All that they are concerned about is getting their own agent fee, and they give the house out. At the end of the day, you now say one of the tenants was a kidnapper and the house is being demolished, and someone somewhere in UK have been working in mortuary, doing restaurant work, doing some very mini job to get that property done. It really can be painful, but I think there should be a furtherance to this. There should be some clause to be amended at this level. I think so, because just a law that has been passed and it can as well be amended to advancing it first, profiling after getting the corporate, profiling the person's parents' property. If he or she doesn't have, then that property can be faced first. More especially in the cases where the landlord does not even reside there. It will be understandable that you don't expect where I don't stay, I should know more about the activities of the person staying there. So being a fan of the governor, I appreciate what he has just done and the House of Assembly for passing this and the governor assigning it. But I think we can go further by what I have just said, so that those who are not in any way involved will not be a casualty. But if it's the property of the person that is involved, that he has a property, no question should be asked. They can go there and demolish it the next day. But in a situation whereby somebody is renting someone's house, the landlord does not stay there, or he knows that somebody says he's a medical doctor and he's renting my house and he pays my own fee, that is all that people are really concerned about. So please, I think there should be some amendments to that section. I think the government can have, a direct intelligence team attached to government house, either the office of the special advisor to the governor on security matters, or maybe another department within government that have to do with security. Then those consultants are just there and they are experts on this, and they will be independent people, not Nigeria police. I think the police is overwhelmed with a lot of issues. Adding this to their own, they can just even be in a hurry and get the possible results in order for them to go back to the office and continue with the normal case they have in their table. So I think independent security consultants can be better, if not the DSSS being involved.
So far so good. We've heard all they have to say about the new law on kidnapping being passed by the Edo State House of Assembly, especially in the aspect of landlords profiling their tenants before giving them house. Some are of the opinion that it is achievable, while some are saying it is not achievable. But in all we need to do as citizens is to put our heads together and work with the state government to be able to achieve this single purpose. It is Viewpoint on ITV. I am Caroline Okonji. Bye for now.
The man went out to bring in thugs to come and beat her.
Yeah.
In a situation like that, do you think women would have seen that and still want to speak?
Really, we're talking about. That's what I said. So when they bullied her,
Yeah.
if she's not bold enough, she will shut up.
What is your advice for girls out there that are so desperate to be married?
We women, we have to be really intentional about our parenting.
If you know a child is being abused,
or you see signs, a bruise or it has to be investigated.
People barely even breathe when they are going for a shrebi and something. Party. You have to be
They
smart.
can't sit
If
down.
you see where they are dressing them or dragging on both sides, you cannot you cannot breathe. And these women will stay in those events for hours just to keep up with that beauty trend.
Is that healthy?
That's not healthy.
I am Patricia Uremu Gabriels, and we're reaching you live from our Lagos Network studio. Of course, Women in Conversation is a program designed for women to discuss about themselves.
Benin Cultural Dance, a unique dance and quality dance steps of the Benin people. This dance is a vibrant mix of traditions, arts and beliefs, deeply rooted in the country's diverse ethnic groups and their rich history. The dance has artistic expressions depicting the people's history. Benin people have been famous for bronze and brass work, some of which is said to date back from the 13th century, especially ivory and wood carving. In Benin, the people dance to show respect, honor, dignity, which they honor. They dance to show royalty, as naids are seen in their numbers around their body depicting the symbol of kingship.
Christmas and a prosperous New Year from Independent Television and Radio.
This is ITV.
Certainly the best.
Up until recently, the issue of mental health wasn't getting as much attention as it is getting today. You know, people focused more on physical health. Okay, so when someone breaks down, they say the person is sick, and the person is taken to the hospital for, you know, medical checkup or medical attention. But quite recently, I think more attention has been given to mental health. Someone once told me that, you know, until someone hits the street and starts picking up stuff from the floor, the person is not considered to be mentally imbalanced just yet, especially in this part of the country or in this part of the world. So that's how I would like to welcome you to another amazing episode of Flipside on Independent Television, reaching you live from the city of Benin. My name is Harry Aigboje, and it's my pleasure to have you join me on this episode of the show. We have a very interesting topic before us, and it's something that has to do with safeguarding teens' mental health. Safeguarding teens' mental health. Now, mental health, like I said earlier, is something that has been getting a lot of attention lately, because once the mind is in order, every other thing follows. So the mind is like the engine room of the human body. So yeah, that's basically what we're discussing today. And of course, to do this with me is a friend of the house, Abigail Ayobahi, who happens to be a teens coach and an instructor, a teens instructor. It's good to have you in the house, Abigail.
Thank you. Good afternoon, viewers. It's good to be here once again.
Yes, it's good to have you, Abigail. And of course, just like I said, mental health, it's a very key part of human existence. Yes. A lot of times, you know, I think we tend to focus more on physical health. Okay, so let's begin. What are the most common mental health challenges facing teenagers today?
All right. First of all, I would like us to understand the meaning of mental health, because I think there is this misconception. A lot of people don't really understand what mental health is all about. It's just like while I was preparing for the program, so I was discussing with my husband that the topic we are going to be having today it borders on mental health for teenagers. So then he now told me something. He said you just hear some people, young people, they will tell you, oh, I'm having mood swing, and this thing is kind of threatening my mental health. Yeah. So it was like, some people don't know that that is that they are calling mental health. Maybe it's a sign of madness, but they will just say I'm experiencing mood swing. But the thing is that there's a lot of misconception about mental health. Okay. Like what you said during your introduction, just the same way we take care of our physical body, that's the same way we should also focus and take care of our mental health. Now, what is mental health? The World Health Organization defines mental health as the state of an individual's mental well-being that enables them to cope with the stresses of life, realize their abilities, learn well, work well, and contribute to their community. So just like physical health, mental health has to do with the state of your mind. And as individuals, it is very important for us to take care of our mental health, you know. Restoring our mental health, preserving our mental health is very important at all levels of life, at the individual level, at the family level, at the state, and at the community level. So it is very important for every one of us to take care of our mental health. Now, when it comes to the issue of teenagers and mental health, you know, the teenage age is a very peculiar stage. It's like a transition period from childhood to adulthood, and like what I will always say, the teenage age is likened to kind of a rough ride, because it is full of highs and lows. There are times whereby teenagers may experience mood swings, coupled with the pressure from the academic work, pressure to please their parents, fitting in among their social circle. Then at that particular stage, they are also gaining new experiences, and they're also trying to find out kind of their identity is not yet fully formed. They are trying to find out who they are. Yes, they haven't figured themselves out. They are trying to find out who they are and what they want to be in life. So it is no doubt that as a result of all these complex issues, teenagers may experience mental health issues. Now, to your question, what are some of the common mental health challenges that teenagers of this generation are experiencing? I would say that one of them is anxiety disorders. Like experts would say, expert says that 1 out of every 3 teenagers are likely going to experience anxiety disorder. And anxiety disorder can take different forms. You know, when you are anxious about something, it can take maybe in terms of when they're in social setting, they feel anxious or they don't feel too confident in themselves. So anxiety disorder is one of the most common forms of mental health challenge that teenagers of this generation are experiencing. Then 2, we also have depression. Depression is also another common mental health challenge. Okay. Then attention deficit hyperactivity disorder is also there.
I think I might need you to throw a little light on that. Yeah.
Attention deficit, most times children or teenagers who experience attention deficit hyperactivity disorder are usually easily distracted. They might find it difficult to cope in schools, and sometimes they usually have academic challenge, and because of that, they might be labeled that this child is lazy, this child is not serious, this child, is performing below the academic standard for their age. So, but the thing is that such children, they need special attention, they need special care. There's a way teachers can get them to concentrate. So such children, they are easily distracted, even when they might be kind of smart academically, but sometimes they easily forget things. They may know that thing. Sometimes you may even engage them in discussion. You realize that they are sound, but sometimes to put things into writing becomes a problem. So attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Then there is also eating disorder. Yes, eating disorder is also another common form of mental health challenge among teenagers. You know, especially among females, with the media telling girls what they should look like, how their body should look like. Some girls may begin to kind of experience eating disorders such as anorexia, bulimia, and binge eating. Sometimes, you know, when we talk about eating disorder, some people just think about a particular lady who said she was abused during her formative age. While she was below the age of 8, she experienced prolonged years of sexual abuse, and as a result, she started eating excessively. She became a glutton. She said she had this feeling that if she becomes fat, that men will not notice her and they will not find her appealing, attractive. So she started eating to the extent that she became overweight, and it started affecting her health. So along the line, she went for therapy and she was able to work on her weight. So sometimes teenagers may eat excessively just to cope with stresses and challenges. Then another one I would like to talk about is bipolar disorder. Bipolar disorder is also, you know, when we talk about bipolar disorder, it's like a psychological issue whereby the person has like two contrast identities. There are times where they feel okay, there are times they are normal, and there are times where they feel aggressive. There are times where they will feel aggressive, while there are times where they will just feel normal. So such people, they require medication. It's something that, it's not just something that requires,
so it can be medically treated.
Yes, it requires medication, not just something that requires therapy alone. With therapy and medication. They were able to manage the situation. Sometimes these mental health challenges, they are underlying issues. Maybe within the family, the person was a victim of child abuse, or the person experienced a traumatic event. So that will not bring me to post-traumatic stress disorder.
Okay.
Even, yes, sometimes experiencing trauma, maybe the death of a loved one or maybe an accident. Sometimes, you know, if you've had an accident before, or maybe armed robbers came to your house, there are times that you feel triggered, even when there is no threat around your environment, especially maybe few months, even few days, few months after that experience, there are times you'll be triggered. So
due to the mental damage.
Yes,
Yes,
so due to the trauma, sometimes some victims begin to relive that moment. It will seem as if that particular thing is happening again.
Yes.
Sometimes they might just wake up from their sleep. They will start shouting, somebody is there, somebody, and there's actually nobody there.
Okay.
So that's post-traumatic stress disorder. It can be triggered by maybe a trauma that they experienced. Even sometimes that trauma might have occurred when they were younger, but maybe as a result of the fact that they have not been able to overcome. You know, in this part of the world, it's like we don't really take mental health that serious.
Yeah.
Like in developed countries, when somebody experiences a traumatic event, no matter how small or how young that child is, maybe when they were little, they lost their parents, or they experienced the death of a loved one, or somebody
they probably
was shot.
Experienced,
yes.
You know, a violent scene.
Yes, a violent scene. Somebody was shot in their presence. You know, the parents will take that child to see a therapist so that they're able to kind of go through that particular process, so that at the end of the day they'll be able to maintain their sanity, so that it will not have spillover effects on them. But sometimes in this part of the world, people just expect you to get over it. They will just tell you to be strong
automatically.
Yes, there's nothing wrong in telling somebody to be strong, but sometimes you also need to sit that person down and ask them how they feel.
Okay.
Just kind of validate their feelings. Just let them, if it requires them crying.
Or venting.
There are times, yes, venting, yes. There are times when you see some people crying and you just say, stop crying. And sometimes just let them cry.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is very, even doctors or experts will tell you that sometimes crying, yes, is necessary. Let them just pass out that particular frustration. But sometimes when you tell them just suck it up, keep it to yourself, they begin to bottle up that feeling and it piles up. So another common mental health
Just before
issue.
you get to the other one, because I can tell that you actually have a whole lot to say in that regard, but it's still flip side on independent television. We have to go on this break now. When we return, a second guest shall be joining us on the show. Please stay tuned. It's great to have you back. It's still Flipside on independent television, and we're discussing safeguarding teens' mental health. Just like I said before we went on that break, we have our second guest joining us on the show, and she is a teens coach as well, and she goes by the name of Isioma Ubede. It's good to have you in the house, Isioma.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here.
And it is my pleasure to have you on the show. So before we went on that break, Abigail was telling us the different ways in which, or the different challenges that teenagers, face as regards mental health. Yeah, so you can take it from there.
Okay. The last two I would like to talk about is substance abuse disorder. Substance abuse is becoming a common thing among our teenagers. Our young people, including girls, it's not just restricted to the boy child.
Okay.
Sometimes they use these drugs as a coping mechanism to deal with an underlying mental health challenge. You can imagine that.
So using a mental health problem to deal with a mental health
drugs,
problem.
because they say it helps them to think straight. And at the end of the day, it also becomes
and some say it also helps them escape reality.
Yes, but the truth of the matter is that when that thing kind of fizzles out of your system, you come back to reality, and that particular thing that you're avoiding is still there. So what now?
You were trying to escape.
Yes, escape is there. What's the essence? So some teenagers may experiment with drugs and alcohol just to cope with maybe challenging situations that they are having. Sometimes it can be as a result of peer pressure.
Okay.
Peer pressure. Then the last one I'll mention is self-harm. The first time I heard about self-harm, I was like, how can somebody begin to inflict injury on themselves? It was one of my teenagers that she even had a friend who does that, who was she inflicts physical injury on herself. Why? As a result. That's the thing. The thing is that it's kind of a complex situation that even the individual cannot really explain why they have that urge. But I think it comes from a place of low self-esteem, a place of they don't feel worthy, they feel worthless. So it comes from a place of like hopelessness. They can't even explain why they do that. Maybe the person has maybe was a victim of sexual abuse, and they can't really cope with reality anymore. So they begin to indulge in self-harm. Because sometimes some parents may just think they are trying to get your attention, or they're attention seekers, but it's far deeper than that. It's far deeper than that.
Well, I'm hoping that we're able to dig deep into this issue of mental health for teenagers, because indeed you can already tell that it's actually a very deep situation for young people. Now, Isioma, what's your perspective to this? Mental health for teenagers. In what ways do you think teenagers struggle with maintaining their mental health?
Okay, so when it comes to the issue of mental health, I'm very glad that in recent times a lot of awareness have been created concerning it, because in the past they usually are pushed under the rug using religious to cover it up. Some say it's just spiritual attack. But today there's so much awareness of it, particularly among the adults. But when it comes to the issue of teenagers, most people just term it like they're trying to be rebellious.
Okay.
Most just see it as a means of, they trying to get back at their parents, at enforcing a particular law on them. But it's much more than that, because when we look at mental health, we're looking at both the person's emotional stability, we're looking at the person's ability to cope with stressful conditions, which we know are necessary part of life. We're looking at the person's ability to socialize. So it's not just the issue of, this person is just being depressed, or this person is just being psychotic in terms of symptoms. It goes a lot more than that. And with social media and a lot of information that are flying all around, people now are exposed to a lot more than we had in the time past. And so these are things that are realities that we need to talk about, that we need to create more awareness, particularly within our tertiary institutions and secondary schools.
All right. Now, before you came, Abigail talked about, how mental health, how teens' mental health is affected, by academic pressure. Could you throw more light on that?
Okay. So when it comes to the issue of academic pressure, it's actually real. And both the tutors, their teachers, the parents, the society, we have to do a lot more.
Okay.
We have to do a lot more. We have to create this environment that makes the child knows that even if you failed a course doesn't mean you failed in life. Even if you failed an exam, there's another opportunity to try. And who knows, it might just be God's way of directing you to something else that you might be much better at. And so when it comes to the issue of academic pressure, imagine a student that probably is in penultimate year and then fails. And it's the fear of what parents will say, what society will say, pushes this child into drugs. And ultimately, who loses? The same family, the same society. Because if someone comes to you now and is under the influence of drug and does anything, the person might actually go free because he's acting under the influence of something else. And so it's something that is much larger than what we are looking at now. But we need to create that environment that allows people to try, make mistakes, and get up.
Thank you so much, Isioma. That was a very amazing insight that you brought to the conversation. Now, Abigail, I would like to ask this. Let's take a look at social media. In what ways does social media influence the mental health of young people, teenagers particularly?
Okay. You know, when we talk about social media, the social space is like a double-edged sword. You know, there are a lot of benefits that teenagers, young people can get from utilizing the social media. Teenagers can connect with their peers, they can connect with their friends, they can learn, they can improve on their academics. But the thing is that when it is not properly utilized, it becomes a problem. There's a particular survey that was carried out by the Royal Society for Mental Health in the UK. That survey said that there was a finding that teenagers who make use of social media platforms like Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, kind of have a higher tendency to experience body image issues, loneliness, yes, loneliness and anxiety. And it's not just about the making use of the social media. Sometimes it is the kind of content that they are exposed to. Let's say, for instance, as a young person, you are through with your secondary school and
probably
you
came, up for the higher institution.
You are trying to you are aspiring to get into the higher institution, but due to one particular reason or the other, you have not been able to further your education, maybe financial issues, or you didn't pass, the student didn't pass his or JAMB or post-UTME. And they come online, they see their friends celebrating their matriculation. It's even possible that some of them are even celebrating their graduation, convocation, and you are still yet to gain admission into higher institutions. Sometimes you feel like, you begin to feel hopeless, like, and it's even possible that these people that are celebrating online, you were even far better than them in school. Some of them were the type that teachers would say, this one will not even make it. You are the one that, and sometimes when your teachers see you, sometimes you begin to feel self-conscious. I remember, like,
haven't said anything negative to you.
Yes, even some like most times I'm very concerned about my former students. When I see them, even in the vehicle, how are you doing? Hope you are in school now. Sometimes some of them, the way they will react, it may show that they are yet to gain admission. So sometimes maybe there will be no time for me to dig further. Sometimes it may make them feel self-conscious that my teacher just saw me and yet I've not been able to gain admission into higher institutions. So it can bring about low self-esteem. And another thing is that one thing that most individuals don't know, even teenagers, is that people only present what they want you to see on social media. People will post when they went out to have fun, they went to the mall.
So it's more of make-believe.
Yes. So people will not tell you their struggles. Sometimes that person you wish you can be like, I just wish I can be like this person. This person is living the life.
So much
this person is making it, and I'm just here. I'm here to gain admission. I'm here to get the latest bag. I'm here to get the latest shoe. Oh, look at what this my friend is putting on. It's as if she's not a big girl or he's not a big boy. You might not even know the source of their finance. Maybe they have a rich uncle abroad, or there's somebody, a close relative, that is just supporting the finance. You just think that maybe they are doing far better than you. So social media can expose teenagers. When there's a study that research says that teenagers that spend more time on social media are more likely to experience loneliness, isolation, and anxiety than body image issues. Even we as adults, there are times, another thing is that it can also affect the academics, and this can also affect, because when you are not doing well academically, it will affect your mental health. There are times that, in as much as we teachers or educators, we tell students, you are not doing well, you are weak. Some of them feel it. They may not be able to help themselves, but whenever we talk to them about it, it affects them. Some of them can even tell you that I don't really know why. That's why when Auntie Sema was talking about academic pressure is very real. And in fact, as teenagers are facing that pressure from the school, they're also facing it from the home. In fact, I even think parents are the one that even kind of mount this pressure. There are some parents that are trying to live their dream life through their children. There are some parents, the things that they were unable to do, they are putting too much pressure. Sometimes for some teenagers, I've been there, I've been in the educational system. There are some teenagers that are doing very well, but they have low self-esteem. You begin to ask yourself. I have one of my teenagers, and when she told me certain things, and she was like, her parents they think that she's not good enough. Well, I said, you're among the best. You are one of the best. She even became like, okay, she was one of the best. Like, I told her, I'm seeing so many potential in you, and all teachers can attest to the fact that this is actually who you are. How come your parents are not seeing this? Because there are some parents that lay more emphasis on the result than effort. They look at there are some parents, now this is just students just collected their results. Now you will realize that there are some parents, when that child will bring that report card, they will check through. Maybe that child is offering, that teenager is offering, let's say 12 subjects, that child had, let's say 11 A's, then 1 C. Some parents will not say, kudos for the 11 A's. They will ask you, why did you have that C?
Them for having the C.
They will ask you, okay, the person that had all A's, doesn't the person have 2 A's? They will not even take it back to, when I was your age, when I was in secondary school, I had all A's from J1 to SS3. So that pressure is real. So it can also affect. Which is probably not even true. It might not be true. So the thing is that even studies will tell you that academic pressure to meet deadlines in school is one of the reasons that teenagers give for feeling unmotivated, feeling tired, feeling anxious. And there are times we parents, we think that when we criticize, when we call them names, that will motivate them. The truth of the matter is that when you begin to criticize that child, they'll feel like, what's even the essence? They have been calling me names, so let me just begin to leave it. Let me just, in fact, they said nothing good will come out, then why should I even try to put in effort? But by the time you begin to affirm that child, you begin to validate their feelings. I'm not trying to say that you should just leave them to themselves. No, that's not the point I'm trying to make. As you are talking to them, also draw them closer. Extremes are very wrong. Don't be too relaxed. Then don't put too much pressure. Like Auntie Isioma said, there are some people that will excel beyond or outside the academic framework, and there are some children that are late bloomers. Like, though as an educator, I used to tell my teenagers, it's like, if you're a teenager and you are still not doing well in SS1, SS2, SS3, you are the problem. You are your own problem. You can't blame your parents. For younger children in J1 and below, you can say maybe sometimes the motivation is not there. You need to put them through, assist them. But for teenagers, if you are not doing well academically, your parents are paying your school fees, you don't have any excuse to give.
All right. Thank you so much, Abigail. That was quite a lot. I would like to ask you, Isioma, what are the ways that parents can identify early signs of mental health challenges in teenagers?
Okay, so the first thing I would want every parent to do is, particularly during this period of holiday, it's very glaring that a lot of demands, multiple streams of incomes requiring your time, but you need to make out time to be friends with your children. Because it's only what you actually observe that you can notice when there are changes. If you've never really had that time with the child, you won't even know when there are changes. So you need to get time to know them. This time is not you saying, bring your result, bring your notes. Just let's gist and talk. In between those gist and talk, you will get to realize what these children are facing, what their challenges are. And then secondly, something else that parents can do is, please don't be afraid to let them know where you made mistakes. It helps them. I
think that's speaking to what Abigail said a moment ago about some of these parents setting unrealistic standards for their children.
Yes, that's the word. So there are times where you know that, oh, as a parent, I also faced this, but this is what I did, or this is what I did not do, which I think you can learn from, so that you don't repeat that same mistake. That way the parent is able to help that child navigate. Because one thing about the modern parenting is that, unlike in our time where you tell them, do this, now you are guiding them, but they make the decision, so that whatever decision that they make, they also bear whatsoever consequences come with it, and they are motivated when they see their decisions yielding fruitful results.
Thank you so much, Isioma, for that very brilliant analysis. It's still Flipside on Independence Television. We're talking about safeguarding the mental health of teenagers. We shall be going on this break now. The program continues afterwards. Please stay tuned.
Yeah.
Yes, welcome back. It's still Flipside on Independent Television, and we're discussing safeguarding the mental health of teenagers. Isioma, you were talking about the ways that parents can identify the early signs of mental health challenges in teenagers. So are there other ways?
Okay, so the other ways you can actually identify early signs of mental challenges in teenagers is when you see a child who previously is extroverted suddenly want to be introverted. Withdrawn. Or you notice is a certain feeling of, how will I put it, a flip. Either one who is also introverted deciding to now be this extra extroverted. So, and again, another way you can notice it is when a child overly wants to cover up or wants to keep things to him or herself.
Yeah.
So, but most of these things, like I said earlier, depends on the way in which you relate with these children. That's how you can easily identify it. And many of the times, it's easier when you and these children actually have a relationship going. So aside the fact that, oh, you provide for them, who are their friends?
Okay. And I think that's one part of the whole conversation that a lot of parents don't pay attention to.
Yes. Yeah. So who are their friends? Is there any new addition to the clique that is suddenly making this child change? Have you done some kind of background check to know? Or was there any change in the teachers, even in the classroom? Because actually, there are times when the teachers are changed in school and it affects the child's own confidence.
Okay.
Their
a change of teachers.
Yes, it could actually affect their confidence level. It could actually even lead to even greater motivation for the child. So it can be either way, but the parents need to be very keen on observing these children. And when it comes to teenagers, aggression never works. It never works. Don't even try to say,
what do you make of the biblical injunction that says the rod of correction?
Okay.
It's not even aggression.
Okay. So when the Bible is talking about the rod of correction should not be far, it didn't actually tell you that it has to be a rod, like an iron rod or a physical rod.
Okay.
So there are different ways in which you can do corrections. When it comes to the younger children, if you decide to flog a bit, it's fine. But for a teenager, imagine me trying to hold an 18-year-old boy and say, you know what, today I'm going to flog you. It's possible we chatter that kid if it's been nice. Or decide to say, you know what, let's get it physical, and at the end I'll act.
True.
So that doesn't even work with teenagers. So, but at this stage, there are times where you can decide to say, you know what, let's do it like this. Have these results, have these goals that you have set for yourself. If you're able to achieve it, you get more time on your gadgets, or you are able to control the timing. But most especially, if you notice any changes and there are things you can talk to the child about, please talk to the child. But when there are things that you cannot, please seek professional counselors. They are trained to be able to manage some of those things and be able to identify some warning signs that you might not see. I'll give you an instance. So there are times that, so based on my profession, I'm a pharmacist by training.
Okay.
When people make use of drugs, there are times they are overly calm. They are not aggressive. But there are repetitive habits that make it consistent with use of drugs. So for instance, if I walk into a place and every morning, every single, at a particular time of the day, I need to make use of the restroom, it could be a warning sign. But you who are not within that line might not be able to identify it.
Yes.
There are times even when children take even something as simple as Coca-Cola, but they are drugged. And you just notice this child is constantly with that bottle. If you even try to collect it, there's this little resistance. That's a warning sign. But if you are not within the field, you can't. And that's why I always tell people, there are reasons why these people are around us so that we can provide support for such cases when you can't identify, or when you identify but you are not so sure.
Thank you so much, Isioma. That was a very eye-opening one. Now, Abigail, what role should schools play in promoting mental health awareness among teenagers? Schools. Because she made mention of the role of schools in all of this. So, what do you think schools can do to create more awareness, for teenagers to be, you know, able to deal with their mental health challenges?
Okay, firstly, I would like to say that one way the school, in fact, there's a lot of role that schools can play, you know. Children, if you look at it, they spend more time in school than, because you have 3 months in a particular term.
Yeah.
First term, second term, third term,
yeah.
You understand, in a session, in one session. So most times, and there are even some children from, let's say, 8 a.m. to like 4 p.m. they are in school. There are times, even sometimes the children will get home before the parents. So sometimes the parents, that's why, like Auntie Isioma said, parents should spend more time, get to understand your children. But there are times, there are things that parents might not be able to pick up on, maybe at home, maybe due to the busy schedule of the parents. Then the teachers will be able to pick up on those particular issues, maybe mental health issues or emotional challenges that a particular teenager is going through. I would say that the first step or the first role that schools can play in identifying mental health challenge or kind of helping teenagers cope is for them to introduce mental health literacy to core subject, maybe like in civic education or national values. And
so you mean,
yes,
based on your experience as an educationist, right?
Yes.
That hasn't yet been achieved?
It's there, it's actually there.
Okay.
It's actually there, but there's a saying that emphasis, you keep on emphasizing on something. So aside from it being in the curriculum in a particular subject, there's a way they can also introduce it to maybe another subject. There's a time the children keep hearing it, it becomes part of them. So by the time they keep on hearing things that has to do with their mental health, seeking support, talking to your loved ones or talking to your school counselor, understand? So when they are having challenges, it will give them that a kind of motivation to open up to somebody. So what schools can do is that they can kind of teach these things, maybe during assembly, maybe during, because in some schools they have what they call gender class, gender assembly, where they talk to the boys and they talk to the girls. They can introduce the topic for them. Then another thing that schools can do is for schools to train teachers, to train the educators on how to identify early and warning signs of mental health challenge in teenagers and how to kind of refer them to the appropriate authorities, because not all teachers, not all educators are equipped to handle such challenges. Like I normally tell my teenagers, I say sometimes there may be something you are going through. Just seek out a support. At least you must have a support system within your circle. Even if you don't trust anyone, there must be somebody you feel free, like your spirit aligns, agrees with that person. That person might be your teacher. That person might be your Sunday school teacher, but you just feel free with this person. So
could even be an older friend.
Yes, an older friend. Yes. So schools should kind of train their teachers on how to identify the early warning signs. Sometimes you might notice that this child that used to is always participating in class is now suddenly withdrawn. Okay, I remember there was this case of an 8-year-old girl. My friend shared it with me that the girl, her parents were living abroad or something like that, her mom. So the mom had other children in Nigeria and brought her, she was born abroad, brought her down to Nigeria and said, I want you to kind of be close to your siblings. And at the end of the day, somebody started abusing her within the family that she was living with, around the age of 8. Then when this girl, they said when that girl came, she was very chubby and very outgoing. Then she entered J1. She was now in boarding school. And people within the area was like, because she's now in J1, she's now forming big girl. She started keeping to herself. She just lost it. So people just say, oh, it's as a result of the fact that she has entered secondary school. They didn't know that something was eating her up. She was facing sexual abuse and she was already having an infection. It was a teacher in the school that was, she did not, in fact, they said when they questioned that girl, she was willing to die than for her to open up about that particular thing. The teacher noticed that whenever she's sitting there in class, she doesn't sit properly. The teacher would tell her, sit properly. She would just bend her body because she was having pain. At the end of the day, when this girl was able to open up, they got her treated. And so what I'm trying to say is that sometimes teachers should be trained for them to identify the early warning signs. Another thing is that the schools can do, another role schools can play is that they should kind of provide a safe space for the children to express themselves. When teenagers, one thing about teenagers is that you may think they are not sensible. Teenagers they are like you. In fact, sometimes they may be more knowledgeable than you as an adult.
Because
not
they are more exposed
to there are things. Yes, you are right. Sometimes you tell them you know nothing, but they know some things that you don't know as an adult, because maybe you know your academics, you know the bookwork, but they know streets and stuff like that. So one thing that teenagers can know if you are not a trustworthy person. So if, for instance, this teenager know that if I walk up to this teacher and tell them what I'm going through, the next day they are going to table it in the staff room, they won't walk up to you. So just imagine if the school environment is toxic, and most of the teachers they talk about the student, a student shared something with you in confidence, then you decide to go and share that thing with another teacher, and the student didn't tell you that, okay, I want you to because there are times I've done that. There are times when I was in the educational sector, some teenagers would bring an issue to me. I'll tell them that this issue, I know that I can't help you, but I can refer you to somebody that I trust, that I know can help you. With their permission, I do that. If they say, okay, I just want it to be between us, I also keep it between us. So if you, as an educator, at the end of the, let's say a child confided in you about something they are struggling with, they trusted you to that extent, and you went to expose or kind of maybe, or you criticize them or you judge them about it, you are not just only, the thing is that you are also injuring that child. They will find it difficult to trust others. So it's not just about that particular incident. Furthermore, that child will not want to open up to another person, because they'll begin to view all adults like that. They will find it difficult before they'll be able to overcome that particular struggle. So another thing that schools can do is that they should look for ways on how to support teenagers that are going through mental health issues, kind of so that the issue will not escalate.
Thank you so much, Abigail. Before we go on our last break for the show, I would like to ask Isioma, what are the coping skills that teenagers, can be taught to manage stress and emotions? Okay. Are there practical skills that, we can teach teenagers to apply whenever they're faced with, such mental health challenges? Quickly.
Okay, so some of the coping skills that they can use is one that has to do with relaxation. Everywhere is so tense. In schools, I marvel when people tell me that they have like 8 hours classes in like secondary school and there are no breaks. And even during the breaks are such that you are still within the same pressurized environment. So one of the
change of environment.
Yes. So one of the things that they can do is to introduce things like sports. Back into schools.
Leisure.
Yes, leisure, where the children can actually relax. And also, they could actually create materials that these children can actually read, because knowledge is power. So many of the times what we see is we focus so much on the academics without providing that practical environment where they can actually see this thing work. Even having peer groups of friends where you can actually get, like, it works. There are times where we want to introduce an intervention and then we just mentor a particular teenager, send that one into a group, and that one mentors their fellow teenagers. It's easier when they are talking to themselves than when there's an adult who is. So there are times, even when I want to hold discussions with teenagers, I'll just tell them, forget the anti-part, all of us, we 9 day here, and then there's no judgment and anything like that, so they are able to cope. Then finally, when it comes to the issue of coping, it's something that you practice step by step. It doesn't come once. So what one person can take is different from what another person can tolerate. Well, but you celebrate your wins little by little as you go along.
Celebrate your wins little by little as you go along. Life is step by step. Well, it's still Flipside on Independent Television, and we shall be going on this very last break. Yeah, welcome back. It's still Flipside on Independent Television. This is the final lap of the program, and this is the point where you get to advise parents, adults out there who have teenagers that are dealing with mental health challenges. So, Isioma, let me begin with you. What's your final word, and what's your advice for such people?
So, if you have one, whether close to you, your neighbor, friend, who is having mental health challenges, just know that it's just like any other challenge that can come.
Okay.
It's very critical that you get help early, so that it doesn't actually make the person lose a lot of time in life. One, it's very important that you create a healthy support system, because when it comes to anything mental, more than the medicines, more than whatsoever any professional can tell you, a healthy support system helps every
When you
therapy.
say a healthy support system, you mean
the parents,
personnel,
the people around them.
Okay.
Not create. There are times when they just put this person aside. No, this one is a forgotten case. No, create the environment and help them thrive. Like I said, celebrate their wins. When they make little progress, let them see that they are making progress.
And reward them too.
And reward them too. And then also, if you really want us to deal with this issue of mental health challenges, we must break stigma. We must break stigma. It's okay for a child to have lost a year because he had 1 or 2 challenges, but that's not enough to mark that child as a child who has mental illness, and for the rest of the life, the child is tolling along that line because of that single episode. We must break the stigma. It starts with me, it starts with the school, it starts with the churches, it starts with the parents also. So everybody must work together to ensure that, irrespective of whatsoever challenge any child has when it has to do with their mental health, we must break that stigma and know that they are part of the society and help them to integrate. Even if it's substance abuse, there are a lot of people that have been into substance abuse, but right now they are championing the things that the interventions that has to do with fighting against drug abuse. If those persons have been put aside, what now happens? But we need to break that stigma. Thank you.
We need to break the stigma. Now, Abigail, what's your final word of advice for parents, you know, that have teenagers going through challenges of mental health? In less than a minute, if possible.
Okay, less than a minute. Okay, the advice I'll give to parents is that parents should spend more time. You know, spending time with your children, your teenagers cannot be overemphasized. You know, when they get to that particular stage, some parents just feel, oh, they can do this by themselves, so we should spend time with them. Sometimes they might not even want to talk. Your teenager, when they were younger, you see that they will ask you multiple questions. In fact, when they see that you are busy, that's the time they want to come and disturb you. But you just suddenly realize that now that they are not teenagers, 13, 14, 15, they will just come back from school, drop their bag. Mommy, they may not even ask. They will just enter their room, eat the food, they will just close the door. But in as much as they may keep to themselves, because teenagers are known to be kind of secretive. The thing is that even if they keep to themselves, you should try to also draw them closer. Deep down, they want you to make the move. So validate their feelings. There are times they will discuss certain things with you. It doesn't mean that you will just begin to criticize them, you just begin to yell, or you just begin to oppose their view. Sometimes hear their view, then in a kind of, subtle way, there's a way you can tell them, okay, this thing shouldn't be like this. I feel it is far better if it is like this, or if it is done in this particular way. Validate their feelings, listen to them. You know, listening is very important. I think that's where a lot of us parents or even adults that have teenagers around us, we miss it. Listening is a skill. Learn to listen. A lot of us, we talk, and we don't even listen. And when a teenager notices that you are not paying attention to what they are saying at that particular crucial stage, they will just begin to, in fact, they may even seek the wrong person to get advice or motivation from. So we should learn to listen. Then we should also counsel them in a way that is not judgmental. We should kind of adopt a non-judgmental approach, validate their feelings, affirm them, get to know their love language, spend time with them. Sometimes just drop the phone, just interact with them. So it's very important for us to do that.
Thank you so much, ladies, for your very brilliant analysis. It's been such an amazing and interesting conversation so far, safeguarding teens' mental health. I'm hoping that the parents and adults out there have learned so much from what you guys have said so far. I have learned a whole lot, and I'm hoping that, just like they say, talk is cheap. We've done the talking. We hope that they're able to put to practice everything that has been said so far. Big thank you once again for being on the show with me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I'm hoping that next time you'll be able to do me the honor again of being with me on the show. All right, it's been Flipside on Independent Television, and we've been talking about safeguarding the mental health of teenagers. Well, just like I said in opening, the mind is the engine room of the body. So if you can't safeguard it, then it's only a matter of time before the body, follows suit. So it's very important that we safeguard our mental health, not just the mental health of teenagers, even as adults. Okay, it cuts across. Let's safeguard our mental health. My name is Harry Aigbo J, and until I come your way again, same time, same station next week, do the right thing, stay out of trouble, and bye for now.
Top on the list of the initiates was the eldest son of the Esama of Benin and former governor of Edo State, Chief Lucky Nosakare Igbenedion. 11 of his siblings, namely Bright Ayamekwe Igbenedion, Honorable Charles Osenwike Igbenedion, Peter Osawari Igbenedion, Dr. Fred Osanwi Igbenedion, Barrister Mike Osarene Igbenedion, Efosa Douglas Igbenedion, Upoma Enes Igbenedion, Osawe Igbenedion, Edosa Igbenedion, Dr. Daniel Omorige Igbenedion, Agbon Steve Igbenedion, as well as the Executive Director Operations, ITV and Radio, Chief Elder Ugbeide Nwonse. It was a vital aspect of Okada community